Everybody will be there in a minute. Hey, sports fans, Greg Mann from Medford Knife, MKT USA. Live, Phoenix, Arizona. We have a guest coming in today. One of our social media connections actually came in for a factory tour today, so we thought we'd sit down and chat and give her a chance to promote her thing a little bit, get some response from her and see what she thought of the factory. You guys have seen her out there on Instagram. She does her thing. BB Brat 111 on Instagram. She'll be popping in here in just a minute. We had Congressman Walt Blackman in yesterday. It was great fun. If you didn't get a chance to see episode 9, go ahead back to yesterday. Check out episode 9. Now, you filthy fucking savages, sit back and enjoy the ride. Here she comes. Come on in. Just come around over here, and Jason may need to help you get your chair height right, but it'll probably work just fine. Oh, yeah, that'll work just great for you.
Yeah.
All right, now we got to get you kind of over here to the barrel.
Okay.
And then kind of put your knees like this on the barrel like you're going to ride a horse. And then,
what?
Yeah, face square this way.
Okay.
There you go. Just like that.
Like
and then,
that?
Yeah, we're kind of knee to knee, and that way it's good for the main camera here.
Oh, okay.
And then you want this mic about kind of an inch or two from your mouth, and then as you look around, kind of gimbal your mouth around the mic, or you'll end up kind of cutting in and out and sounding crazy.
Okay, so just like this.
Just it kind of goes in. If you want to look at me, if you look away from the mic, nobody will hear you, so you got to kind of go like this.
Okay.
All right. How you doing?
Good.
Katie?
Good.
What'd you think of the tour?
I loved it.
So you've been chatting with Billy, our social media guy online.
Yes.
So he was here, and now he's in Turkey, and he's been there for, I don't know, coming up on a month now. So he's living in Turkey while he's not doing our social media much for us anymore, but he's doing a lot of digital development, but he still gets in and looks around and tinkers with stuff. So I think he's been texting with you back and forth.
Yeah, somebody was.
Okay. And then I hop in and respond to texts also, but since you can't tell when he's talking, when I'm talking, you guys are chatting at a different time of the day. I usually don't say anything, but when I see this, hey, when are you going to be in? I'm like, just whenever you come in, it's fine.
Okay.
So what'd you think of the tour?
I liked it a lot. I had no idea that so much went into making a knife. Like, I just assumed, you grind it, you polish it, and there's your blade.
Yeah, it's a fucking to-do, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long you been doing the social media thing for?
A year. I got off Facebook a year ago, so
okay.
A year ago in June.
Are you doing anything else? Well, you're doing Instagram too, right?
I'm just on Instagram right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. You said Facebook. So you got on Facebook, but now you've hopped over to do your own thing on Instagram.
No, I got off of Facebook around
Okay.
June when everybody lost their shit last year. And
Yep.
I just focused on Instagram, and it kind of took off from there, so.
Cool. I'm going to move you over 2 inches to your right.
Okay. There?
Yeah, that way that mic's closer to you. Good.
Okay.
So, you have been a nurse, and we don't need to say where you worked or anything like that. It doesn't really matter at this point, but you quit.
Yeah.
So they came down with a mandate. I guess we can say, are you on leave, or are you like, fuck off, I'm out of here?
No, I was terminated, so I'm...
Oh, they terminated you.
Yeah,
So you could say who it is.
Yeah, I could say who it is.
Right, so who is it?
So Honor Health.
All right, so Honor Health here in Arizona, and I have my insurance, and I'm on the Honor Health system.
Yeah.
They basically terminated you for not wanting to put a mysterious vaccine into your body.
Yes, that was one of the reasons.
Oh, was there more?
Yeah, I mean, I was very vocal about what was going on, and I was on social media. I went on a podcast last month in Vegas on the John Bortolo show, and I've been very vocal about these mandates and about COVID, about what I've seen, and other nurses on Instagram. So I'm very outspoken.
Did they you were telling me a little bit about it, and that's why I thought it would be fun to pull you on the show and talk about it a little bit. But did they it feels like big business and government ganging up on regular people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were just saying, you're like, hey, there's a group of people, we were talking about getting an attorney or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't just go get the 1-800 Phoenix lawyer to go like fight these multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, and that's what this group of nurses wanted to do, and I respect them for wanting to stand up and fight
Mm-hmm.
back, but they found like a budget attorney, and even him, his retainer was 20 grand, and it's
Right.
but he's, lower tier attorney, and it's like if you're going up against Banner Health, Honor Health, like you need a hardcore badass attorney, and
Yeah.
of course nurses don't make hardcore badass money, so it's like, well, we're fucked.
It's kind of on the female side of the employment world. It's definitely one of the heavy blue collar. I mean, nursing is blue collar in my opinion. It's not white collar, and
Yeah.
it's because it's down and dirty healthcare work, and
hard work.
even at the higher level, it's down and dirty healthcare work. And to think about you folks who are out there hustling to help everybody, and you all have that drive in you that to take care of people, that nurturing thing, where guys are like, fuck that, I'm going to the military, or I'm gonna go do something. Yeah. There's such a higher percentage of women that get into that into healthcare. Really, it is just like everything else we see from the left.
Mm-hmm.
They say they stick up for the little guy,
They don't.
especially if she's a gal. They don't.
No.
We'll do all these things unless we think we're right, and then fuck everything. We're
Yeah.
right. And
My body, my choice, unless it comes to this mandate, in which case, do what we want you to do.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I see the hypocrisy at every level, and it just pisses me off. And so I was, I went to, I've seen Trump a bunch of times, and got to kind of be friends with his family, and I've been watching this go on. I watched what happened in the election.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but most of us, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't
No.
believe in aliens and shit. I'm fucking pissed because I think it was absolutely fucking chicanery
Yeah.
and not clean at all.
No, they stole our election from us.
Well, it certainly
That's how I
looks that
feel.
way. Now, so
Yeah.
next week we're supposed to get this thing from the Arizona Senate based on this 3-month audit they've been doing. Hopefully it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's just been this. I was so optimistic a year ago. Trump was up for re-election. Gas prices were $1.75 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
There hadn't been anyone who died in 6 months in Afghanistan. Now it's almost 18 months until a couple days ago. Like everything seemed like it was just going in the right direction. Business was cranking. The shutdown was bad, but like I figured we were going to get through that, pop out on the other side, and we'll be big badass America with this crazy, orange bad man for president.
Yeah.
And then it all came off the rails.
Yeah.
I went to Charlie Kirk. Are you familiar with Charlie Kirk?
Yep. With Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to a Turning Point event a couple weeks ago, and somebody asked him, "Hey, Charlie, what can we do?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says, there's tons of things you can do, but if it doesn't cost you and it doesn't hurt, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it a lot. It kind of haunts me a little bit, but I'm pretty outspoken. You haven't looked at our social media, I don't think, but I've been hanging out like this for fucking 10 years, and I've been critical of every administration super hard. I've had it hurt me. I've had them come after me. I've had Google come after me now. I mean, it's crazy. Like, go after my customers to say, we're going to ghost your company if you continue to carry this guy's products. Not kidding. Not exaggerating. And we got the emails to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been outspoken, and it's cost me.
Yeah.
And I talked to my team. I'm like, what do you guys want to do? Should you guys want me to shut up and just sell knives, and we could just be whores for like, can we get every goddamn dollar imaginable? And everyone's like, no way, boss, kick it, man. So that's why I thought I'd ask you on. You put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
Not really. I mean, I'm the person my parents raised me to be. I'm not going to cape for anything. But again, with like the outspoken thing, and that's the other thing. So like this past year, I've had a good chance to connect with other Americans on social media. And I can't tell you how many people will get into my DMs and say like, thank you for being outspoken. I wish I could. And like I take it as a compliment, but at the same time,
You
it's
can.
just like, yes, you fucking can. Like,
Right.
speak up.
Right.
We can't just, they call us the silent majority. We can't be silent. Like, we have to fucking get loud.
Well, I totally agree. I get people all the time, Greg, thanks for giving voice. I think this, man, I feel like we're brothers. If you sound like my dad, you sound like, but I could never say that. And I go, well,
Yes, you can.
I go, you actually can. So, people always kind of, this sound a little weird as a former Marine, but my audience knows I'm not like a hero worshiper. I don't worship cops. I don't worship firemen. I don't worship veterans. I'm like, we fucking all raised our hand and volunteered. Nobody's been drafted in the modern era. So I'm kind of like, people kind of bow down to these civil servant types.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to remind people that you call all these people heroes who all volunteered for these jobs. And they're
Yeah.
generally fun jobs until there's a rough thing going on, and then it's a bitch, and then you get to tell war stories until the next time it happens. But everybody who's not doing those jobs, they kind of can be their own little version of a hero. They could do a huge public service by fucking speaking up.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I've talked to said, I didn't want to take, but I just don't want to fight anymore. I just took the vaccine. I had my kids take it. And I'm like, what? It drives me crazy.
Or people who are dead set against it until they find out, well, I can't go to Maui now. And then they get the vaccine. It's just like, well, you clearly weren't against it to begin with if you're going to cower that quickly. Like,
Right.
if it's just going to cause a little inconvenience and you're going to cave, like, you can't give in that quickly, you know?
So, I mean, what's your advice to people? I mean, you must have gone through, where are you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
Albany, New York.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You told me that. Albany.
Yeah.
Okay. And so are your parents conservative?
Oh, yeah.
So they're conservatives in a state dominated by downstate politics. You know, New York is bullied around by Manhattan, basically.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in upstate New York, it feels like it's Kentucky to me, because everyone's like pickup trucks and they like deer hunting and like, you know, going out in the boat and the lake and all that kind of stuff.
But stuck with blue state policies.
Yeah, but they're stuck with New York City. And then how long have you been out here now for?
Oh, God. Over 20 years.
And so, what's your purpose on social media right now? How are you earning a living? You quit your gig. How are you earning a living?
Right now I'm just kind of hanging out, waiting until I run out of money.
Till the next thing comes along.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't have any plans to return to nursing right now. Like, I was considering a PRN job at a nursing home just to kind of stay afloat, and then they released a federal mandate that all nursing home employees have to be vaccinated to receive funding. So it's like, well, fuck. You know?
Yeah.
So clearly, nursing is not for me right now, but I'm just winging it, you know?
Yeah. What? You don't live here in the Valley. Do you live down
I
the
live
road,
in
Tucson?
Scottsdale.
You live in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I had Congressman Walt Blackman in yesterday, and he's running for U.S. Congress, 1st District out of Arizona. And we were talking about, he was talking about the racism he has felt in his life and how hard it's been because it's come from Democrats, because
Yeah.
they're hostile to him because he's a Republican,
I believe it.
which I find ironic. I'm like, well, how about all the assholes in the military? He's like, no, I didn't know that. How about this? No, not really. Where'd you really feel? Well, I felt it from Democrats who felt like I betrayed him because he stepped off the liberal plantation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were talking about the policy in New York right now. So San Francisco launched it today, the vaccine passport. New York launched it a week or two ago. And so they are requiring this passport to go into restaurants, gyms, health clubs, public libraries, public services, and government buildings. Okay?
So modern day segregation is what we're.
So 90% of white people in New York are vaccinated.
Yeah,
And
they're-
it's something around 70% of black people are not vaccinated.
Yeah,
so
I
he
did
basically
recently read
passed
that.
a law. They basically passed a city ordinance or whatever, a mayoral dictatorial edict that 70% of black people can't go in public buildings, museums, or schools.
Where's BLM on this? Like, aren't they a little bit upset? Don't they see this as a racist, movement or mandate, whatever the fuck they're calling it?
No, they're just sitting back because they're lying scumbags.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. What's your point on social media? What are you doing?
I mean, I really didn't have a point to begin with, and then, I kind of grew a following, and other women saw me with guns, and I became vocal about the fact, like, hey, I'm a domestic violence survivor, and the firearms industry helped me to take my sense of control and power back. And so now, I mean, that's kind of my point, is getting out information about domestic violence and helping other women find firearms and training, because it's done more
Do you
for
tell
me.
your story? Do
Yeah.
people know your story? Do you want to
Yeah.
tell us a quick version of your story, unless it's too personal? You don't.
No, I can totally tell it.
Give us
So,
because there is somebody, some woman, some wife, some girl, someplace who's watching About Knives who's going to hear this, and maybe it'll help them. So
yeah.
tell your story.
And it's actually super common. Like, I just learned 1 in 3 women, like ages 18 to 60 or something along that age range, like, is affected directly by domestic violence. But I didn't know it was 1 in 3. That to me is scary. But yeah, so I was in a domestic violence situation. It was years ago. He ended up going to prison. I had a restraining order at the time. He violated it multiple times. Restraining orders don't fucking do anything. But he violated it multiple times. You know, he ended up going to prison, and I get a call one day from the Phoenix Family Advocacy Center letting me know he was being released early for good behavior. I was just
Because there's no girls to beat the shit out of in jail.
yeah, seriously, because there's only big dudes who he would get his ass handed to him. So yeah, he was being released early, and I just felt like the system completely failed me. And I had my dad take me to Scottsdale Gun Club, and he put a 22 Smith & Wesson in my hand, and just kind of went from there. I loved
How
it.
long ago was that?
Oh, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. And so what are you packing today? You don't have to take it out. What do you got on you?
it's just my Glock 43. a
Glock
little
43.
guy.
Okay. In pink.
Yeah. Yes.
Where'd you get the
My
pink?
pink Cerakote.
Did they make it pink or did you get it done?
Well, it was Cerakoted at Bear Arms in Scottsdale. I
Oh,
got
sure.
it through them. So
Sure. Okay.
yeah.
Cool. And then you live over in Scottsdale. You're unemployed between gigs.
Yeah.
Kind of floating through some savings.
Yeah, I'm just
Doing some social media. Have you
Yeah.
found a way to monetize that at all yet?
that's what I'm working on
You're
now.
working on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, you got anything you want to promote before we hop off?
Oh wow. I don't even know. No.
So, yeah.
On the spot, I don't know.
BB Brat 111 on Instagram.
My
BB
Instagram, yeah.
All right. So let me help you out. When you get on a show, you always want to mention your Instagram thing.
Okay.
So give us the breakdown.
Okay. So basically check me out on Instagram, BBBrat111. I did just break into TikTok at same username, but I mean I keep getting violated by their community standards, so who knows how long till I'm booted off of there for being inappropriate.
That's I would call that a social media abuse survivor.
Yeah, that's how
It's-
it kind of feels.
So I was a lot more radical than I am now. And it was before they were kicking everybody off and I was getting kicked off. And then as soon as I had to kind of back off the last 6 months of Trump's presidency because I was getting too wound up and, I was texting with his son all the time. And we were, it was just maddening. It's maddening to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's maddening to see the lies. And now I just read this story, my dad, he got vaccinated because he had to, because he's a psychotherapist. And in order to maintain his licensure in Arizona and make his living, he had to do it.
Yeah.
My dad's 73 years old. He's not going out cross-training into a new job. He's doing what he's a master at.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, and I'm in the danger group, so, I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to do it. And I see clients, so I feel like it's a responsible thing to do.
Mhm.
And I'm like, Dad, don't do it. He's
Yeah.
like, I have to do it. I'm like, I'm different though. I'm younger. He's on the backside of it, right?
Mhm.
So he did the vaccines, did the second dose, maintained his licensure. He's been a good boy, and then came down with COVID, and it damn near killed him. And he's just recovering right now. And he
Yeah.
got the vaccine.
We
6
saw
months.
that a lot.
I don't even know if I buy it because all these people I know who've taken the vaccine. I mean, I've had friends close to my age dropping dead mysteriously after taking the vaccine. Now maybe they were all just going to drop dead mysteriously anyways,
Yeah.
but I've got friends who dropped dead in this industry within 2 weeks of taking a vaccine.
Yeah.
I've got employees here whose parents have taken the vaccine, and within 2 or 3 weeks, they all of a sudden have mysterious blood clots around their body. They're having embolisms. They're having these deep vein thrombosis and all kinds of weird shit, who were kind of picture health 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Now, people get sick out of nowhere. I get that. But just anecdotally, I'm hearing way too much.
Yep. New onset arrhythmias, valvular abnormalities. Yeah. There's a lot of shit that's been happening. It's just not talked about a lot in the media, and then people who do come out and talk about it, or doctors who do come out and warn about it, are discredited and attacked. So it's just
Crazy.
like, what the fuck?
And so we've got the weirdest bedfellows right now. We have the Democrat Party, who is basically hates Big Pharma, and they're in bed with Big Pharma right
Yeah.
now. And Big Pharma, because they got this emergency use authorization, there's no liability for them. That was one of the caveats. Say, hey, we're going to make these things, but if you're just going to emergency use them, we have to be released from liability.
Mhm.
If they were forcing us to do that, we'd do the same thing. So now one of the biggest expenses of making drugs is a liability after you've made it. You got to carry liability for the product you made.
Yeah.
They don't have any liability expense. And now they're saying a third booster. I read a story today. They're just recommending a booster every month. I'm flabbergasted. And it's really not based on science. It's not based on numbers. And it's not based, what's it called? The VERS data that gets reported back whenever drugs are in the marketplace. I think it's called VERS data. There's, like a hotline you can call up and they take they know kind of how many calls they get when a new drug hits the market based on how many applications of it were sent out.
Yeah.
And this thing is amazingly high VERS response data of negativity to the vaccine. So it's just spooky as shit.
Yeah.
And they're going to shut down a whole demographic of people because they think we're all Trumpers.
And if it really was science-based, then they would look at the people who had COVID, who have antibodies, and say, okay, you guys don't need the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
One of the doctors I worked with had COVID, volunteered to get the vaccine, went to some pharmaceutical rep and said, do you guys want to use me as a study to find out what happens when you get the vaccine after having COVID? And they said, no, we're not looking into that. And she's, why not?
I was reading this article by this virologist and she was basically saying we have done the biggest human experiment that's ever been done and no one's collecting data.
Yeah.
They have very general data, but there's big data to be collected from all of this. Especially, like I had COVID very early on, and I've opted to kind of go with my natural antibodies. And as I watch the articles trickle out, it's showing more and more that they're calling them breakthrough cases. They're showing more and more that the vaccine is not a very hardy inhibitor, and that actually having had it, they said, well, if you've had COVID, your antibodies don't last very long. Well, as time's going by, they're actually seeing that's not actually true. There's a lot of antibodies a year later because now they actually have enough data from a year later.
Yeah.
They know that the natural antibodies are actually quite good.
They're lasting longer than the vaccine itself.
Yes. And so the vaccine.
Go figure.
I just read this morning that in Israel, 50% of all cases are breakthrough from vaccinated individuals because they basically told everybody they had to get vaccinated over there, and everybody went, okay.
That doesn't surprise me, that number at all.
Okay.
We saw a lot of vaccinated people come in with COVID.
Yeah, and I know that it's I understand how vaccines work. It's the other thing that's crazy is at school, they're if people are vaccinated, they think that makes a difference, and it's all these people who have this kind of infantile understanding of viruses and how they work. And I'm like, if viruses, you carry them, even if you have antibodies and you've been vaccinated, you carry you can pass the virus on. So I'm like, well, how does that make any difference? Because what happened was back to school, within 3 days, my kids were getting sent home for 10 days because they've been around somebody who had COVID. I'm like, enough. This is nuts.
No.
I called the principal up. I said, how are we going to do this? This is every
other week.
Every other week, it's
home.
half the school. You're going to go crazy. You have to stand up and be a leader at some point. You know what she said?
What?
She goes, well, these are the strongest recommendations I can give you, but you are the parent and you make that medical choice. And if you want to send him back, go ahead.
Yeah.
I sent my kid back to school.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. And they think they're in charge.
Everyone's bowing down one by one, so they kind of are. There's not enough people standing up and saying, fuck this. Like, we have rights,
Well, I appreciate you making a stink, and I appreciate your parents for teaching you to be loud and opposing American. I think it's our God-given right. We're the only people on earth who said our rights come from the Almighty and not from the government. Mm-hmm. And I think more people need to stand up at school boards and tell them to fuck off.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
they'll cower down.
Absolutely.
And if enough school boards have been told to fuck off, they will push back and it will make its way to the mayor's office.
Don't we have one school district here in Arizona that's trying to go against Ducey's mandate? I think it's Phoenix. It's one school district in Phoenix. They're trying to issue mask mandates, even though it's a public school, even though Ducey said you can't do that. They're trying to fight it, and they're telling parents that the kids have to come in with masks. And it's just like,
so my daughter's friends are in PV school district in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, through the scuttlebutt, is through her friends, is that they're going back to having to wear masks. And I said, I don't think that's even legal now.
No,
it's against the governor's mandate. But I think that's a municipality that's big enough to push it and well-heeled enough. And it's got upper-class, snooty white people who are going to fucking sheep along in their Teslas and do what everybody tells them to do.
It drives me insane.
I'm actually becoming racist against upper middle-class white people.
Yeah, a little bit. I get that.
Oh, well, listen, thanks for coming in. So where do you go shoot?
Lately, I've been going up to Ben Avery or just out in the desert.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of indoor ranges anymore,
Yeah.
but you know.
I was I was just talking to a guy from a range here in town, and he'd asked me, and he said, like, you know, I said I like to go shoot outside by myself, and he goes, well, where have you been inside? I said, well, I went to Scottsdale Gun Club, and I was over at Scottsdale Gun Club, and I had numerous times where I saw people next to me kind of reasonably unsafe, and I was
Yeah.
like, eh. And then the last time I was there, this Chinese guy and his son were kind of limp wristing a pistol, and it kept stovepiping. And then they were messing with it and turning to like look in the light, and they were pointing it right at me.
Oh my God.
And I finally just reached over and I kind of took the gun real slow. I said, hey, you guys are done here. I go talk to him. Dude's down there on his phone texting. I'm like, dude, get them the fuck out of here because they're gonna shoot somebody.
Yeah.
And it was funny when I said it. I looked over and 2 lanes down there was the bulletproof glass hanging in the middle. One of them had been shot, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing these, close in ranges. I'm gonna go out where there's gun people.
Have you ever been to Table Mesa?
Oh yeah.
Even Table Mesa, the last 3 times I was there, I just got flagged nonstop, and I was just like, I can't. I'm not coming here when it's
There's
crowded
a lot
like
of
this.
people.
This is scary.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Do you ever go out to Cowtown?
I've never been to Cowtown, actually.
Cowtown's a great place to go. Private membership. It's a little more expensive, but you go out, the range is all yours. They've got about 10 little ranges out there, and it's a great place.
I'll have to check
when we
that
hop
one out.
off here, I can give you the information if you want.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for stopping in. I know I kind of threw it at you impromptu. I think
You
that,
did.
people need to hear about people who are making sacrifices to stand up for themselves. And I hope that everybody out there, if everybody said no, we'd do whatever the fuck we want. The reason
different
it's working is everybody is just saying okay, and they're sheeping along and letting themselves be bossed around by morons who don't have medical backgrounds,
Yeah.
morons who are not looking at the science, and morons who mostly want to suppress a group of people they think's political class overlaps with their vaccine perspective.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you can tell? I don't know. What percentage of the time do you think you can tell if someone is a Republican or Democrat by their mask use?
I mean, if they're wearing a mask in a vehicle by themselves, 110% they voted for Biden. Like, that is a Joe Biden voter for you.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Because they're like they're driving along, they got their mask on,
Yeah.
they're like, God, I wish I could pay more for my gas. I wish there were more illegal people in town so I could get free yard work.
Biden is just so well spoken.
I could tell from his clear ideas in response to all of the heavy hitting reporters' questions. I love listening to him. He's brought peace to my political life. Our international respect is way up, and gosh, I like being told what to do.
Yeah.
I think the same thing too.
Yeah,
That's
he's
probably
great with stairs too. Yeah.
that's the big trigger. Like, I don't want to make fun of him for being old too much because I'm coming around the bend, but the craziness I see in the country is it's funny how many friends I've lost,
Yeah.
kind of sticking up for myself, and not just myself, like the people around me.
Yeah.
Jeff and I, who's my head of business development and sales here, Jeff and I walked into a restaurant about 3 months into COVID. It was a Wildflower Bread Company over here at 101 and I-17. And the manager comes out, and I got to give the dude credit. Jeff's 6'6", and he's built like a Viking, and I look like somebody who might just punch in the face. The 2 of us are standing there. The guy comes over to tell him we got to put our masks on. And we're like, yeah, we don't have masks. So he's like, and he rolls his eyes all dramatically with his turkey neck, bends like this. and then he goes over and gets 2 masks and hands them to us. So we put the masks on, and Jeff and I look at each other, roll our eyes, and so he's over there adjusting the bread close by. And I said, excuse me, sir, do you have any breath mints? Whoever's trapped in this mask with me smells like cat shit. I'm just making a joke. And the guy goes, what did you say to me? And then Jeff looks down and I look up and I'm like, I was making a joke. And he goes, it's not funny. People are dying. And he got really worked up. And I was like, huh. So I ripped my mask off. I yelled to the whole restaurant. I go, hey, everybody, it's a bunch of fucking pro-Biden commies in this place. Get the fuck out of here. And then Jeff, Jeff's ready to, he pulls his mask off like Frankenstein. He's like, go ahead and call the cops. and the dude was like emboldened. I was really surprised because he was a Melba toast with like a tree tattooed on his arm. And I was like, oh man, I can't believe the dude's getting in our grill. So we kind of laughed, and I was almost pulling like, you remember seeing the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah.
I was getting like flip tables over on the way out. I was like, fuck you guys, man. Well, we had to calm down a little bit because it turned out everybody was losing their mind about that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for stopping in. I hope you had fun on the tour, and
Yeah,
we'll
I
see if we
did.
can get you some fun stuff to shoot in your social media things out there, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Greg Met from Medford Knife. We're going to end on a quote from one of my favorite human beings. Here we go.
What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair? A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion fucking dollars in the bank.
All right, we're out of here, everybody. That's the end on Friday. Enjoy your weekend, you bunch of fucking filthy animals and savages.
What was the quote?
You got your headphones off.
Yeah.